In a world where there are too many comic books to keep up with, one podcast has the stones to bring you all of your comic book needs, week by week, book by book. One epic show. You are now tuned in to Nerd Church Radio.
Hello, and welcome to your Focus episode of NCRDC Comics. I'm your host, Benjamin Dupay, and joining me tonight on the panel is our own in-house Wonder Woman expert, Mr. Noah O'Toole.
Hello.
And our favorite comic shop employee, Mr. Justin Taylor.
Hello.
And this week on NCR Focus, we will be discussing Justice League versus Suicide Squad Part 3, and specifically going through like the villain teams, the kind of Maxwell Lord's villain team that made it up. So, you know, kind of going through that. But before we get into that, how you guys doing?
Pretty good.
I haven't seen you guys in forever. It's so good. You know, this is like the first podcast I've done in like 2 weeks where I haven't felt like complete crap. And like, it's because I had this cold that stuck with me, and then
that was my November.
Yeah, and then the holidays, you know, it's just like that was a whole nother...
Yeah, that's a whole nother story.
That's a whole nother type of crappy feeling that I had. So, you know, between those two things. Did you guys have a good Christmas? Sort of fun times, or...?
Yeah, it was pretty uneventful, which is how I prefer it. So
yeah,
yep,
for sure. How about you, Justin?
Yeah, played a lot of board games.
A lot of board games?
Yep.
What did you play?
Shadows of Brimstone, Eldritch Horror,
yeah,
Arkham Horror, the card game.
Arkham Horror?
Yeah.
Is that like a Batman thing? Or?
No, it's actually a Call of Cthulhu thing.
Oh, okay, cool.
And Sentinels of the Multiverse, which is a superhero thing.
Oh, okay, cool. My wife and I are kind of looking for more board games to play. We found like a 2-player version of Settlers of Catan. Have you guys ever played that before?
No, you know, as far as nerdy as I am, I don't play board games. And when you said board games, I'm thinking Pictionary and Sorry and stuff like that with your family. Then you start, I'm like, oh, those kind of board games? Yeah, I got it. And so, unfortunately, I mean, looks like fun, but I've never gotten into it before.
Man, we got to play some Settlers of Catan sometime.
Okay.
Yeah, it's so
fun,
so addictive. Yeah. How about you, Justin? Have you ever played that?
Played it once or twice.
Yeah. It's a fun one. I really enjoy it. So, cool. Well, I'm glad you guys had a good holiday. First up, before we get started, I just want to let everyone know we are having an iTunes review contest for the month of January. So the way that works is if you give us an iTunes review, Nerd Church Radio, or if you give our sister podcast a review, which is Indie Comic Ninja, you're entered into a chance to win an Indie Comics t-shirt, which is something that our boy Dexter, who runs the Indie Comic Ninja podcast, he made shirts that just say Indie Comics on them. And also a combination Batman and Joker Funko Pop figure that we got from a Loot Crate, which is pretty cool. It's like an exclusive Funko Pop. Nice. You can't get it anywhere else. You know, so you're never going to find it in a store or anything like that. So all you have to do is review one of our podcasts, be entered into a chance to win that. If you review both podcasts, you're entered in twice to win. So you get 2 entries for that. So that's a pretty good deal. And yeah, so otherwise we do have a Patreon page where you can donate to our humble cause. That's located at patreon.com/nerdchurchradio. And in return for that donation, you get access to exclusive content. We do a weekly show called Sunday School now, where like we're reading all the DC comics for the week, and we grab one of the maybe lesser known characters from that, and we just expand on it for like an hour, and just kind of almost like a geek history lesson type thing, but sort of a little different. You know, we try not to totally copy them or whatever, you know. But it is fun. This week we are doing one called The Relevance of Green Arrow. And that was Travis's idea.
Cool.
So like, is Green Arrow relevant in today's world? And like a guy running around in a Robin Hood costume being a vigilante, you know, how is that relevant?
Being a Batman with arrows.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I like to call him Green Batman.
Green Batman, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm excited for that. Brad's a huge Green Arrow fan. I'm not really. I mean,
he's a really popular character, though. People, I don't know if they just identify with the non-superpowered people like Batman, Iron Man, Green Arrow that just have enough money to do whatever they want versus superheroes. I don't know, but he's popular.
See, that's the thing that I don't identify with because he is rich. So I identify on a DC show. I'm going to say this and get crucified, but like I identify more with Daredevil because he's like an interesting version of Green Arrow. He's poor, which is an interesting perspective
for sure. Yeah,
he's disabled, which is another. There's very few big comic book characters that are disabled. I really enjoy that. He's Catholic, which is a whole nother world of interesting. Yeah. I mean, and I don't know. I've always liked. I don't know. What do you think about Green Arrow?
I like to refer to him as Red Batman.
Yeah, or Daredevil. Yeah.
Red Batman. Yeah.
But I
or
do,
Blind Batman.
Yeah, I do really like Daredevil. I personally feel Matt Murdock is super boring.
Yeah.
But Daredevil is interesting. And his villains definitely make him more interesting. He's a lot like Batman in that fact that the base character is not as interesting as he could be on his own, but once you start adding in all of the villain aspects of that character, it becomes such a different character.
I don't really know many of his villains other than Kingpin and Bullseye.
Well, and Electra, she's a really she's not.
I would call her a villain, but supporting cast. I agree.
Mary,
Typhoid Mary, true. Yeah.
He's got a lot of very interesting villains. And depending on how he's written, he can be super, super cool.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, and I mean, just supporting characters like Foggy is a really, he's somewhat of an interesting character. I mean, he's kind of like a token non-powered best friend or whatever, but it's still fun to sort of see that aspect of him. So I'll take Daredevil over Batman any day, honestly. I mean, there's DC, there's other characters that attract me at DC. Batman's just, I mean, he's cool. Batman will always be cool, but not always my total favorite character. It's just, I don't know. Justice League versus Suicide Squad Part 3. This is like by far, I think, my favorite comic and publication from DC right now. What do you guys think about it?
Yeah, I thought it was a lot of fun. This issue in particular was a lot of fun. I like stories like this one. It reminds me of like the animated movie Justice League Doom and which was based on the graphic novel Tower of Babel. All those have plans to take down the Justice League, and I like seeing the Justice League taken down in a logical way that makes sense.
Yeah,
and
sense.
This has done it. It's made sense, and it's kind of cool. It's like, oh, she got them all. Leave it to Waller,
Yeah.
Leave it to the Wall.
Yeah, the Wall, man. Josh hates the Wall. He freaking hates her so much. It's hilarious. Yeah,
but you're supposed to hate her.
Right.
That's what I thought, job well done. And like something, so we talked about this on Sunday school a little bit, but I'll talk about it here in case you aren't a Patreon, in case you aren't our one Patreon. So Amanda Waller, people hate her, right? Like, obviously,
you're supposed to.
You're
though.
supposed
I mean,
to,
she's
and she's a messed up person. The thing about her is, though, Amanda Waller, her son was killed by Candyman, the gangbanger. Her husband went out looking for revenge, and he was killed in the process. And then her daughter was raped and murdered as well immediately after that. So it's like you kind of are like, you can relate a little bit, She lost everything.
She got a concrete skin after that, and
yeah. And she still had a couple kids left, and she pretty much sent them off on their own to do their own thing or whatever. So, man, it sucks that you weren't here, or we didn't do Justice League versus Suicide Squad number 2. Because I really wanted to get your thoughts on the Wonder Woman Harley Quinn battle that happened.
Oh yeah, I'm glad it went the way it went because they were toting that for a long time, and then I'm just thinking, can that even last a panel? I mean, you know what I mean? She's gonna pop a confetti gun at Wonder Woman or something. I don't know, but
yeah,
it was kind of fun with the motorcycle thing, and ended in a big explosion with Harley draped over her shoulder and Wonder Woman like, tell Batman I'm bringing her in or whatever, and that was a lot of fun. I liked how they did that.
It was there was in the DC Direct Currents magazine that you showed me, Justin. Like there was this big 2-page article about these two fighting each other. And I'm like, this is stupid. Like what?
And then they turned around and Josh Williamson, who's writing this crossover, is doing a hell of a job.
Oh yeah.
Oh
He's
man,
killing it.
You know, and like I'll have to admit, I do not like the Suicide Squad. Never have.
Just not
Just
appealing.
Not
to
my
you.
thing. And I'm loving this story.
Yeah.
This story is so much fun.
Yeah.
You know, and it's relevant to what's going on, and we're getting to see the Justice League for what they should be, not what they have been here recently. You know.
Yeah, Brian Hitch. Yeah.
And it's just been fun.
It has.
Like it's not a gritty, dark, story. It's just okay. Here we go. And the forces pushing the two teams together is really, really fun.
Yeah, one thing I really enjoy about it is, and one thing I feel like the Justice League has kind of lacked on with Brian Hitch is, like, you have a story with a lot of players,
right,
and a lot of A-game players, frankly,
right,
and you split them up into like 4 or 5 different groups, and it creates some pacing issues for me, like it's hard to follow a book when, like, you're jumping to a different spot, every 2 or 3 pages you're going off to meet up with Flash and Batman, then we're going off to meet up with Simon and Jessica. And this book, it's like there's so many people in it, and it still works so well.
It's very cohesive. I know, doing issue 3, but I gotta say that issue 2 was one of the best, most fun comics I've read in a long time. Just the whole battle and Deadshot thinking they should split up, and Superman's Enchantress magic weakness, and then Killer Frost's development, and how they got it was so much fun.
It was, man. Yeah, I really enjoyed it.
And this while it wasn't quite number 3, while it wasn't quite as action orientated, it still kept a pace that I wanted to keep reading, and really had some character development now.
Yeah,
I think, and it set a lot of things up that we'll see in the JLA.
Well, see, like issue number 1, it wasn't very action-packed, and I knew who it was that was walking through the halls, that you always saw his boots, but just the way that was done, was just like, oh, God, here comes Max, And it was so well done.
Yeah.
Like, compared to some of the books and I've been really enjoying a lot of the Rebirth books, but this, I think, has been the height so far.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I just totally agree, man. I mean, there have been a lot of great books, but this, and this is technically the first event in DC Rebirth too. It's, you had Night of the Monster Men, but that didn't have its own title. It was under the Batman title. So this is the first thing with its own title that's coming out. So I don't know, man. I wish the writer on this, Williamson, would just take over Justice League personally. That would be a dream for me. But we'll kind of get into it and recap a little bit. So Joshua Williamson, as you said, Justin, is the writer. Art by Jesus Marino, Andy Owens, and Jeremy Skipper. So the first part of this issue, Rick Flag and Kitana are like kind of walking through this prison where the gang of miscreant villains is broken out of with Maxwell Lord, and their job is basically to like go get this black box or whatever, like like on an airplane or something. There's a black box. I didn't know that was a thing, but hey, whatever. It's Amanda Waller, Suicide Squad. She probably has black boxes everywhere. Probably has one in her apartment. So anyway, we get Batman. He's like. So we jump over to Bell Rev, and Justice League and Suicide Squad are all there in one place, which I love. That's great. You got everyone there in one place. And Batman's in a straight jacket and a
Hannibal Lecter
mask. I love it. Mm-hmm. And he's like, you guys know this isn't going to hold me, right?
Right.
And he gets out really quick and, pummels all these guards and meets up with Amanda Waller, which is pretty cool.
I love how she's just like, took you long enough.
Yeah, I was. I've been waiting here for 15 minutes, man. Come on, you gotta step up your game, Batman. Come on. So they get to talking, basically about what are they talking about? They're kind of talking about just how the Justice League is captive there and everything, and then we pan over to the room where the Justice League is being held, and the Suicide Squad moseys on in there, and they see all the it's like a dream situation for them pretty much, because they walk into a room where the Justice League is being held in like in these containment chambers that are basically made for them.
Yeah, unique to each one.
Yeah, and I see Wonder Woman's here. What's the deal with this one, Noah?
Well, she's smartly tied up with her own lasso.
Okay.
Which is the only thing she can't break, or that nobody can break. It's unbreakable.
Do you know what is the lasso made of? Do we ever find an answer to that?
There's a couple different things. I essentially kind of just think of it as one of the weapons forged by Hephaestus. Sometimes in the old school it was like made from the girdle of Gaia.
Okay.
But
cool.
that's like way old school. So now it's just kind of is bequeathed to them from Mount Olympus, and is just unbreakable and able to bypass the untrustworthy nature of man. And
the girdle of Gaia.
yeah,
That does
there's
not
some old
sound very
school.
super. That sounds more like...
that goes back to like old school mythology. The Amazons had that, and Hercules stole it, and that's what Marston based a lot that on. But yeah, she's tied up with her own lasso so that she can't break free. And old school Wonder Woman could only lose her powers also when she was tied up by a man. Which
really?
Yeah, it was kind of one of those, which I'm sure we'll talk about.
Yeah, I can see that causing some issues today. Yeah, for sure. And then Flash, I don't really know what his thing is.
He seems to be like a stasis
Yeah,
field.
that's what it seemed like to me.
Yeah, it looks like they found a way to like maybe replicate the Speed Force or something. And that's, I don't know, but yeah. So
I more wondered about Superman. I would have expected him to have glowing kryptonite, but it was all red. It was a red sun. That was the other thing. Yeah, I figured it must have.
From what I've seen historically, that's usually what they use is the red sun, because the kryptonite can
kill him,
whereas the red sun just drains
the powers. Right? Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And then cyborgs. I don't know what the deal is.
He's
with
just
that one.
I don't know, hooked up to a dead zone or something. Like what do you call those? Where it blocks blocks the internet from you.
Yeah. A firewall.
He's a firewall. That was what I was thinking of. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, that took long enough.
I can't believe I beat you two.
Yeah,
you're
all right.
You're
my
the
own
web
joke.
developer. Yeah. No, I was expecting you to have that one. So yeah, they're all tied up in the Suicide Squad. I love these panels we get of Harley Quinn where she's just like with stars all around her and it's white air around.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. Something about that.
It's very Jim Lee.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, and it makes for a really clean, simple layout that's easy to follow and stuff. And,
if anybody's, I don't know if you guys have read Harley's Little Black Book.
I have not.
It's one of a million Harley ones, but I did read the first one, which is with Wonder Woman, and she knocks her out with gas and wants to like assume her identity and whatnot. But I got a kick out of the panel where she's like has her face pressed up against Wonder Woman's saddle, and she's like, "I promise I'll come visit you every day, Wendy."
Yeah, I know, it's great. It really is. It's fantastic, and I love this interaction between Flash and Captain
Boomerang,
where he's kind of like nah, sticking his tongue out at him, and Flash is like, "Man, your breath stinks."
Even in here, right? Yeah,
even through the stasis field, and of course, Captain Boomerang tries to attack him and gets zapped or whatever, and that was pretty funny. So then we get like a moment where Killer Frost and Superman, which in the last issue, if you haven't been reading this, is like Superman. Or Killer Frost sucked the life force out of Superman, and that's how they beat.
She's basically what took down, the Justice League.
Yeah, because that made her super powerful, and then she, threw up the
froze everything.
Yeah,
that Suicide Squad and Justice League.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so. But she hesitated for just a second. Because there's some good in her. She's not a total villain.
They definitely are kind of starting to turn her more towards the
I'd say
television.
This is the setup moment where she gets turned
more towards the Caitlin Snow we know from The Flash on TV.
That has a good side, a redeemable quality versus...
But they're also setting up JLA because she's going to be in JLA.
Exactly, right.
As a team member.
Yeah. I was just about to ask you about that. Brad said that she was, and I thought Brad was mistaken.
No.
He said it's verified.
She's one of two villains that are going to be on the team.
Lobo's the one that I can't wrap my mind around.
Yeah, well, but I'm sure we'll see by the end of this, because the end of this story arc is supposed to launch directly into that.
Yeah. Did you guys see the... my mic cut out. Sorry. Did you guys see the Christmas card that was in Justice League versus Suicide Squad number 3? DC put like a little Christmas card in there.
I don't think so.
Did you buy a paper copy of it? Oh, you didn't? Okay. Well, in the paper copy, they stuck a little postcard. It's Lobo holding a comic and sticking his tongue out like a member of KISS or whatever.
Yeah.
It's a little blank postcard you can send to someone. It's pretty cool.
That's funny.
That was pretty exciting. I tore it out of there because I don't care. Like, but yeah,
Right.
like that's gonna be worth money someday. Or
Right.
something.
The new ones. Yeah.
I'm sure it will, but like,
they're not worth the paper they're printed on anymore.
Yeah, I know, right? Which there's a lot of paper that they print them on, which is why they're not worth any money. But anyway, so she hesitated before she took Superman's life force, and he's trying to kind of exploit that, or not really exploit it, but he's just.
Well, I think the kindness in him is like, hey, I noticed this kindness in you. Let's talk about it. Like
It's
the Boy
old-
Scout.
Yeah, it's the old school Superman that we all know. You know,
Yeah, and he's like, you hesitated before you took my life force. Why did you hesitate? And then we get a nice little backstory on her.
Right, this was cool.
Where she's in Metropolis and she saw Flooperman.
Flooperman.
Yeah, she saw Superman fly over, and she said it was a real Metropolis moment, which I really liked. That was like a genuine Metropolis moment. And then it kind of led her to continue trying to stay in college or whatever, and she's like, if there's a guy who can fly, then why can't I stay in college?
Yeah, he influenced her life in a positive way. Yeah,
yeah, absolutely, and that's cool. And it's kind of a touching moment between them. But then, Deadshot kind of interjects, and he's like, "Hey, no one cares about us. Waller needs us, and she doesn't even care about us." And like, it just kind of busts it up or whatever, which kind of had to happen. So then we jump over to Desolate Island. Does this look familiar to you guys at all?
no,
not to me.
No. Yeah, it doesn't to me, and I don't think it's meant to. We don't get it. We don't even get a panel showing like where this is or anything like that. We just see the island. And it's talking about how these shamans live there and they protect something that is, and these guys will fight to the death to protect this thing, whatever it is. And the next scene we see is this Maxwell Lord super team standing on the dead bodies of all of these shamans, and they're like, that wasn't all that hard, or whatever. Which go figure with these guys. And Maxwell Lord is torturing one of the shamans. He has swords in the hands and feet of him, and kind of floating him up in the air. Which is this a thing with Maxwell Lord? Can he levitate things? Does he have that ability?
Dr. Polaris.
Dr. Polaris
doing
is there.
that.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah,
All right,
the
that
swords
makes
are
much
metal,
more
and
sense.
he was levitating. Yeah,
Max's soul power is
mind control.
Yeah. And you can tell when he's using it because there's the drops of blood.
His nose bleeds.
So, what do you guys think? I mentioned this on the DC Mass podcast, and I kind of got some flack for it. But when I saw Justice League versus Suicide Squad #1, and you see his boots walk in, you see him tell these two guys to shoot each other, my mind instantly goes to Purple Man from Marvel, and just because like. I don't know. Are these two characters not that similar? Like, I mean, I didn't think that was Purple Man, obviously, because we're in a DC book. But I mean, do you think they're?
I mean, their powers apparently seem to be the same. I know Purple Man just from Jessica Jones, the show. I haven't read any Marvel comics with him in it.
Which he really didn't get really powered up to that to be able to do something like that until the Alias comic book, which was what Jessica Jones is based on.
Off of right.
Which was. Not too long ago. Maxwell Lord, on the other hand, has been around
Forever.
Since the 80s
since
or
the
before.
80s,
Yeah.
But his mind control powers, they don't really touch on him too much until later on.
You're talking about Maxwell
Maxwell
Lord?
Lord,
Okay,
yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
All right.
He just is. I always think of him as just. I mean, complete mind control. Like the most like the Professor X of the.
Yeah.
DC
Oh wow,
verse a little bit.
Professor X level.
Oh, yeah.
Like
Yeah.
not just
not telekinesis.
No,
but telepathy, mind
I
control.
mean,
Yeah,
the fact that he convinced Superman,
yeah.
that Wonder Woman was Doomsday.
So can he read your mind as well? Or can he
I don't think
don't
so.
believe so.
No, I think he just
No,
can control
Actually,
your mind.
he can control your mind to a certain extent. Now, it used to be that he had all out power, but now he can give you suggestions, especially and it especially resonates if you are already inclined to do
right,
it.
right.
If you read the Justice League book that comes out this week, it's Maxwell Lord Rebirth.
Okay.
It's his story about what they've
It's just Justice League period, like
Yeah.
the Brian Hitch book.
the book
It's
Justice
not
League
written
is-
by
yeah.
Brian Hitch this week.
Oh, thank God.
But
Oh,
it's
cool.
the Justice League isn't in it.
No.
It's all
It's
Maxwell
all
Lord.
Maxwell Lord.
Oh, that's-
and the Wall.
Yeah.
Oh, really? So it
Yes.
connects to this.
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah,
Oh, yeah.
directly.
Oh, awesome! I can't wait
In
to
fact,
get that. So
a lot of the stuff that happens in this book is set up in that book.
okay, cool. So yeah, we get this panel of Lord torturing the shaman, and he's kind of like talking to the shaman, and he's like, they're talking. Maxwell Lord's trying to get access to something that will give him access to this big, powerful thing, which they refer to as him. Do we know what this is yet?
In Justice League, they refer to it as the item.
Oh, in Justice League, they do.
They refer to it as the item repeatedly.
Is that the Justice League that came out today?
Yes.
Okay, cool. So yeah, the guy is resisting Maxwell Lord's powers or whatever, and then like he can't resist it anymore, and the team gets what they're looking for. We still don't find what it is yet, and then they say it's time to go deal with the Suicide Squad. So they're heading to Bel Rev. Yeah. So and then we jump back to Bel Rev. And what do we got here? So the Justice League. So Batman and the Wall walk into the room where the Justice League's being held, and the Wall releases the Justice League, and the Suicide Squad's like, "Hey, wait a second, what are you doing? Come on, like
we just captured them.
Come on, why?" And and this is the point where we get a look at like the team of villains or whatever. Is like they release the Justice League, and Batman's like, "You guys need to listen to Amanda Waller. Something's going on here." So they talk about how these villains just broke out of a prison. They talk about the Emerald Empress, and I thought this would be a good time to kind of like go into depth on these characters if we have anything on them. So the Emerald Empress, what do we know about her?
She's a member of the Fearsome Five from the 31st century.
Okay, so
the Legion of Superheroes.
So she's connected to Saturn Girl.
Saturn Girl, right?
Okay,
yes.
Cool. What? Anything else?
I don't know much about
I honestly
her.
don't know much about any of these new characters except for Lobo and, basically like a one sentence description of what all of, what all of them are. I just don't know a whole lot about them.
I haven't read a lot of Legion. I just know that she's a member of the Fearsome Five, which are some of their primary antagonists.
Okay.
And that she is based out of the 31st century.
And they're really making a point of connecting her to Saturn Girl and
Yeah.
and this whole Legion thing. So it's obviously going to play an important part.
And even in the first issue, when Maxwell
Of Rebirth?
of Justice League Suicide Squad, when Max breaks all of them out, he specifically says, I need all of you because you're from other worlds. Or something similar to that. It's a completely throwaway line, but he makes a point of saying something very specific, about all of them.
That's cool.
And when you go down the list, Emerald Empress Enchantress is she's from the future. Okay,
Yep.
From a timeline that we currently don't even think exists, other than Saturn Girl.
Yeah,
Right?
and the Eye of Ekron is kind of telling her that time is missing,
Right,
or whatever.
and the eye is always with her.
Okay,
So
the comic itself says it's the Eye of Ekron and that it has Green Lantern technology.
because if I remember right, it is essentially a ring.
Oh, okay. Oh, wow.
That would make sense.
Okay, cool.
So then you have Johnny Sorrow. Johnny Sorrow, as I've mentioned before, exclusively a JSA villain.
Okay.
And
Johnny Sorrow, which one is he?
Johnny Sorrow's the one with the mask that
Oh, yeah, and no one.
they have to stop the video
because no one's ever seen what's underneath the mask
Right.
because it would kill you.
Kill him, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And all of that happened because he used to worship the King of Tears, which is on another plane of existence. Very Lovecraftian creature.
Oh, very
Okay.
cool. I love Lovecraft.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And Johnny Sorrow died last time anybody saw him.
Okay.
He got sucked back into that realm.
Huh. Okay.
And so he is from a different world and a different time. And that was pre-Flashpoint.
Okay.
Okay?
Cool.
You got Lobo.
Lobo, right?
Yep.
The original Lobo, not the New 52 Lobo that we had
That
running
skinny
around.
Lobo, right? Whatever.
Yeah, this is like looks
The
like he
hipster Lobo.
Yeah.
looks like he belongs in Kiss.
And
logo.
they're actually
Lobo.
using the phrases and
Right,
mannerisms and everything.
Yeah, he's very Wolverine-y, very bub and
He's the main man,
cigar,
you know?
right? Yeah.
I heard that Lobo got to a point where it was so offensive and crass that they kind of stopped printing him for a while.
Yeah, at one point they even did shunted him over to Vertigo.
Yeah, I remember. That was the '90s, right? Because
Yeah.
I remember him being with Vertigo and being very extreme on
Yeah.
the violence, because that was '90s was extreme everything,
Oh, yeah.
extreme violence,
And-
extreme.
and then they turned
sexism
around-
too,
Sexism,
and like I mean, like he would say things
Oh.
that were like really
dirty,
like,
yeah,
like,
crap, yeah.
like wow, that went a little far for DC Comics.
But
like,
then you turn around and he's in the Superman animated cartoon.
Yeah,
right, yeah, seems a little
Definitely
strange.
not a kid's villain.
No. He seems like he belongs in Vertigo, though. I mean, like, if it's that version of him, you know, I don't know.
Yeah.
But it's still cool to see him. I mean, all I know about him was the little bit I've seen in the Injustice Gods Among Us video game, which
right.
that was always pretty cool to me. I don't know. He is just a funny villain in that one. So
He is very. He reminds me like of Deadpool and Harley in that vein, where he's got a comedic streak and kind of breaks the fourth wallish, a little bit and stuff like that.
just
so.
the token comedy character, kind of.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Cool. So then we have, or did you have anything else on Lobo? Rustam, is that how you, or Rustam, or how do you pronounce that name?
I don't know.
The one character of the roster I don't know anything about.
Yeah.
So after the legendary Persian High Rostam, Francis himself, a righteous assassin, and with his flaming sword that can cut through anything.
Yeah.
Really doesn't seem like that interesting of a villain to me, but I don't know.
The only thing I can think of is the old Warlord comic. That
Okay.
might be where he's from. And Warlord actually took place in the DCU. So
Okay,
Okay.
cool. And then what else? He's one of the greatest swordsmen in the world. And then Dr. Polaris. So what do we know about this guy? Anything?
I
thought that was Midnighter when I saw the picture.
Oh, right.
Because he kind of looks like Midnighter a little bit.
I don't know much about him other than he's kind of considered a classic, just a classic villain. He would be in like issues of Justice League Unlimited.
Oh, okay, cool.
And things, and so you don't see much of him. He was kind of. He's kind of D-list a little bit, wasn't he?
for a long time he was D-list, and I don't remember him even showing up in New 52.
No,
at
I don't
all.
either.
Oh, okay.
That's
He
the
could have, but I don't
That's
remember.
the thing. To my knowledge, none of these characters have shown up in the New 52.
Well, Lobo has,
Not these versions,
but not
of
these
characters, yeah.
versions. Okay, cool. All right. And I think that's it, right? That's all of them, I believe. Let me just double check.
I don't think that Dr. Polaris though is part of, because he's from Argus. He's from Earth, isn't he? He was
Yeah,
from
I'm not
Argus.
sure
He's not
on
part
that
of the. He's helping Maxwell Lord, but he's not part of that core 5 or whatever.
He was one of the 5 that was imprisoned.
Oh, he was.
Yes, and I just found some information about Rustam.
Oh, yeah.
The old Suicide Squad book back in the 90s.
Yeah.
During that, Rick Flag got killed.
Okay.
Well, he comes back, and it says here that in the storyline that Rick Flag comes back, he murdered Rustam to return back to Earth,
Oh,
Huh. Okay. Wow.
which
Well,
could definitely play
that could
in
come
here.
into play. Yeah.
And Dr. Polaris is not with them right now. He's not in this in this splash page where they just killed all the shamans and everything.
No, because
Right, but he's in
with
Lord.
Maxwell Lord.
with the
He's
with
up-
the head
Oh,
shot.
he's
Yeah.
okay. He's the one that's levitated.
Yep.
Okay, yeah. Okay, that makes sense. So yeah, that's what we get. Amanda Waller kind of tells them all about all these villains and how bad they are. They've just broken out of prison, and they're on their way here. And Amanda Waller is like, they're on their way here. They want to kill me, and I need you guys to save
protect
me.
me, yeah.
And everyone has a good laugh about that.
Yeah, that
which
was
I thought
great.
That was just
Yeah.
so funny, man. And like,
It was like one long vertical panel of all the Suicide Squad members and all the Justice League members just
laughing.
standing there, and then the next panel was
Like,
an entire vertical panel with them standing there throwing their heads back in laughter. Ha ha! Yeah.
Yeah, that was great.
They just like paused for a moment. We're like, did she really just say that? Yeah, right.
I love it. It's awesome. And then Batman's like, settle down, everyone. Go on. You're what does he say? Oh yeah, your head isn't all they're after. And then Waller explains to them that they're after like a weapon or something. And the weapon is in Bel Rev. That's where it's housed. And they're on their way there right now. And we get the very final reveal that this is the original Suicide Squad. Which, is this like something from continuity that these were the first?
No, because actually the first Suicide Squad that appeared in the comics, in the modern age.
Well, the modern age.
Like in the Golden Age, it was Rick Flag, his girlfriend.
Rick Flag Senior, yeah, the Brave and the Bold number 25. It was like,
yep,
that was Golden Age?
5 issues, yep. And that's what John Ostrander, then when he came in based, like, he had Rick Flag Jr. to keep the continuity with Rick Flag Senior, who they were more government. They weren't bad guys, though. It was just this new,
They basically were the explanation for why the JSA weren't around anymore. They were out fighting monsters, yada yada yada.
Okay,
because during the 50s with the House Un-American Activities Committee, the Justice Society stepped down.
Okay,
and all retired, and that was their explanation for the original original Task Force
X, right?
Okay, cool.
So
what year?
That was back in '59.
Oh wow! And when did the Golden
59,
when did the Golden Age officially end and go into Silver Age? Do y'all know?
That was actually Silver Age.
Flash number 1 is what starts the Silver
which
Age.
is 57.
I'd have to look that up, yeah, but that sounds right.
Okay, so about 17 years, 18 years is what the Golden Age lasted.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. That makes sense. So yeah, that's it. We get another final splash page of all the villains on their way to Bel Rev, and next issue, which comes out a week from today, is called Battleground Bel Rev, which I'm super excited about. I can't wait to read it. And I'm loving the fact that it comes out every week too.
Yep.
It's really really nice. So yeah. What were you about to say?
So the original Suicide Squad for the modern age.
Yeah.
We hadn't ran them down yet.
Yeah.
That was Bronze Tiger, Deadshot, Captain Boomerang, and then a revolving door of C and D list villains that they could easily kill on occasion.
Right.
Okay, cool.
So
Vixen was often with the Suicide Squad in the early years, even though she was a hero, but she was dating Bronze Tiger. And so that's how she joined the squad and was in it for many, many years.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool.
And they first appeared in a series called Legends. That was a 6-issue miniseries.
In 87.
Yeah.
Did that have anything to do with Legends of Tomorrow?
No.
Okay.
No, it was the first big crossover after Crisis on Infinite Earths.
Okay.
After the reset in continuity.
Okay.
And it was a dark side story. And Waller pulled in Rick Flag Jr. and started putting together the team.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. So overall, we kind of talked a little bit about this, but thoughts on this issue? You guys, were you pretty big fans of it? In terms of like,
I haven't quite wrapped my head around them being the original Suicide Squad yet. But I know that's supposed to be the big cliffhanger reveal, shocking surprise thing. So I mean, I'll let that play out and see. But my first thought is what?
That's the one thing that distracts me from the issue. Mm-hmm. The rest of the issue is amazing.
For sure, I agree.
So much fun.
But they did make a point to mention the fact that there is time missing from the timeline at the beginning of this story. So we know for a fact that like they're acknowledging that in this. So I mean, maybe they're just to me,
they just seem like way too powerful of characters to be controlled in a Suicide Squad.
Right.
I guess it's kind of my my red flag, but
I'll be interested to
not
see
my
how
Rick
they
flag, my red
explain
flag.
And how did you get like a bomb in like Dr. Polaris's neck? He doesn't even have a neck, how does that work?
Interestingly enough, the original, like the original Modern Age, they didn't have the bombs in their necks. They just had a cuff
on their wrists.
on their wrist.
Yeah, that's right. I forgot.
He doesn't have a wrist. He doesn't have a corporeal body. How do you get,
on Johnny Sorrow?
Yeah, or Johnny Sorrow, rather.
That's a good question.
I know that there's a lot of good questions.
How do you control that, All he's got to do is take his mask off, and you're dead.
Yeah, like
We'll see.
Yeah,
Because I'm literally asking these questions myself. I'm like, how can these people function?
the rest of them I can kind of see how you would. I mean, I don't know much about Dr. Polaris. Emerald Empress, I don't know how you even get a hold of her if she lives in the year whatever, however far in the future.
the Legion of Superheroes and the Fearsome Five have a tendency to travel back and forth.
Okay.
Yeah, but I think the thing is to me the Suicide Squad and John Ostrander, the extras on the Suicide Squad movie actually have some great interviews with John Ostrander. It's really worth watching if anybody's got the DVD or whatever, just as a side note. But he said that he thought when he got tasked with writing Suicide Squad, he's like, who would call themselves the Suicide Squad? That's a terrible name. It just means you're going to go die. But who would do that? Well, people who don't have any choice. Who doesn't have a choice? Prisoners. And so that's where he turned them into all this B, D, C-list villains that he could kill off.
And that was John Ostrander, you said?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Which explained why all of a sudden all of these villains just always manage to get out of prison.
Right.
Yeah. I did like that part in the last book where Batman is hanging out with the Justice League, and he's like, "Yeah, guys, so there's this team of villains. They're called the Suicide Squad. I've never really told you about them, but they're pretty much all of our worst enemies, and they're out there doing stuff, and their Justice League's like, why haven't you told us about this ever? I don't know. That was pretty funny to me.
Because I'm Batman.
Just because I'm Batman. You can't handle the truth. Yeah. So
I don't see any of those new characters being forced to do anything they don't want to do. You know what I mean? I could see them maybe being like a Task Force X type thing, where if they have a reason to work together, but being forcing forcing Johnny Sorrow to do anything, or forcing the Emerald Empress to do anything seems
I don't know.
But we'll see.
Unless the Wall,
The Wall has her ways.
Offered them what they wanted,
right?
Because like Johnny Sorrow wants a human body again,
right? She's got the intel on everything, so she could know what they want and offer it to him.
She knows who Bruce Wayne is.
Yeah,
that's true. Yeah,
so.
Which I did like in one of the earlier Batman stories. I think it was All-Star Batman. They said everyone knows Bruce Wayne is Batman. It's just proving it. That's good luck doing that. It doesn't take that much to figure out who Batman really is in real life, but no one can prove it.
I think one of my favorite things. I think we've talked before. I didn't think the Green Lantern movie was all that bad, but one of my favorite parts was when Carol Ferris meets Green Lantern for the first time, and she's like, "Hal."
Yeah.
And he's like, how'd you know it was me? And she's like, I've known you my whole life. You think a green mask over your eyes is going to make me tell you it's not you? Yeah. It's like, finally, somebody says something intelligent. And,
Yeah. Something like that makes me think back to the old Lois and Clark
Superman
series, where H.G. Wells shows up and is talking to Lois, and he tells her, Clark's Superman. And she's like, no, he's not.
Yeah.
And he's like, yes, and you are considered the most unintelligent woman
reporter
in the future because you don't get it.
It's that's something that's always but it's kind of one of those comic booky things. But it is nice to see it acknowledged at least once in a
I do
while.
like how they've worked with it though in the DC universe, cinematic universe, because he's really covered everything but his chin and lips, and he's got a voice box to disguise his voice, so they made some more logical steps to hiding his identity versus...
Are you talking about Bats?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, he does. Man, there's been some rough patches for the Batman movie.
Mm-hmm.
He came out and made us... Ben Affleck, did you read about the statement he made?
Yeah.
Did you, Justin?
Yeah.
He said basically for the fans, for anyone listening, Ben Affleck came out and said, "Yeah, there's no amount of money they could pay me to make a mediocre Batman film at this time."
Right.
And
and nothing's.
But you know what? Kudos
in the
to
cards.
him for that,
Right?
Because we've had some mediocre.
We've had so many Batman movies. I mean, and he apparently is going to be the key to every single thing in the DC cinematic universe. I mean, so far he's been. I expect him to show up in Wonder Woman. To be honest with you.
Do you really?
Mm-hmm.
Huh. I
just at the beginning or the end or in an after credit scene, he's going to connect them somehow.
Right.
I just think he's going to be in everything and connect it. So, in my opinion, we don't need another Batman movie. He's as prevalent as a character as you can get anyway. But that's
it is nice just to see him be sort of that, like, the Samuel L. Jackson of this universe.
Yeah.
He's like the connective tissue between all the movies.
But I would like to see a Batman movie if they focused on his rogues gallery.
Yeah.
And did some, things with some Scarecrow and, Poison Ivy and Penguin, maybe, or something, just a couple of them and made the character development more about them versus him. I think that would be really interesting.
Because we've seen them, they've developed the hell out of Batman cinematically,
Yeah.
And like, we don't need...
We get it. Your parents died,
we don't
you're
need
depressed, you became Batman, now you're talking in deep voice. Okay.
Yeah, we
We're
don't
moving
need
on.
it
We're
anymore.
moving on.
Do not need an origin for him ever again.
Yeah, it's just don't need it anymore.
You know who I'd love to see? I'd love to see them do Clayface.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
That would be,
Yeah.
and they originally were talking about it before they ended the franchise back with the, Joel Schumacher movies.
Right.
And whatnot.
The thing I would like to see is them trying to do a practical effects Clayface too, if they could, or like practical effects that are enhanced, like Killer Croc in Suicide Squad.
Sure.
That was such impressive practical effect work. I mean, like, he looked a little skinny body wise for me. I thought he should have been maybe a little bulkier.
Right, I agree. But I like that they did what I call the Jim Henson effect. They used, actual physical things versus CGI because I just don't like too much CGI. It can ruin things.
Yeah, let's not turn it into a Michael Bay fest. You know, like, I mean, like, I don't need another.
Or George Lucas. I just think, to me, what I'm getting off subject here, I know, but to me, what made the original trilogy of the Star Wars so cool and realistic, if you want to say, is the use of all the Muppets and the puppets and the animatronic things. And then when he came in and made it all CGI, I was like, now it's just like any other thing I can go see, and it's just not as interesting to me.
It's not. There's not any attachment to that, really. I mean, have you seen the meme of, like, there's one picture of George Lucas with all the props from the original trilogy behind him, and it says, the original trilogy, and then there's another one of him just standing in front of a green screen, and it's like prequels. That's like,
pretty much.
Yeah. What did you think of Force Awakens then, Noah? Like, with the props and stuff.
That one. No, I like that one. To me, they did a good job of taking what was cool about the originals and updating it.
Yeah,
it was still a little on the heavy CGI side for me, but it is what it is. It's not 1985 anymore, and I'm not 10 years old. So
in this day and age, I think we're not going to get a ton of like 100% practical effects. What did you think
of Force Awakens?
Yeah,
visually it was stunning, absolutely stunning. I am the person that is in the room that didn't really like it.
Yeah, I thought the plot was a little derivative of A New Hope.
I like to call it Star Wars 7, Star Wars Greatest Hits.
Yeah.
Or the greatest Star Wars fan film ever made.
Yeah, yeah, very true.
Don't get me wrong, it was good. It was very heavily nostalgia-driven.
Yeah.
Unlike Rogue One, which wasn't nostalgia-driven, but was nostalgic.
Right,
yeah,
right.
And did you see Rogue One?
Not yet.
Okay,
yet,
well, yeah, we won't go into it.
I know about it, but it's all good. So
Oh yeah, I guess we did talk. Yeah, okay. It is very good though. I thought Rogue One was. I think that's my second favorite Star Wars film. But we're getting off topic here, so we get way off topic.
Yeah.
That's okay. So let's rate this book here. Let me play our rating system for you so you understand what we're talking about. One sec.
If a comic book is bad, we rate it as blasphemy. If the book is good, we give our blessing. If the book is not bad, not good, but just kind of meh, we rate it as stuck in purgatory. If the book is great, we rate it as holy. And if a comic book exceeds all standards of awesomeness, we rate that book as salvation.
And I am going to rate this one first because I want to start it off on a positive note. I give this salvation, man. For what it is, I think that this is a perfect event. It's everything I could have asked for. The artwork is fantastic. The story has great pacing. They don't waste any time on anything that doesn't matter. It's the perfect amount of trying to build up the larger Rebirth story, but also focusing on a very centric story for what's going on here. So I reserve my salvations for things that deserve it, and I genuinely think this book deserves it. Noah,
Yeah.
what would you rate it?
I was really close. I think overall, though, I'm having to give it as high of a holy as I can without quite being a salvation.
Okay, sure.
I would have given number 2, last issue, was a salvation for
Okay.
me. And I tried to think of other books, some of the Wonder Woman ones that Nicholas Scott drew that mark, my level of what you have to be to salvation. Deserves. And this is so close to being there. It was excellent, but I got to give it a high holy.
And what is it that knocked points off, if anything? Is it just missing that special something that makes it, a salvation?
Yeah. The thing that made the last issue a salvation over this one was just the action in it,
Okay.
the fighting between them, and like I said, the character exposition in this was great.
Yeah.
But more fight scenes that are
Yeah.
awesome were what saved my salvation. So
Yeah, and that was awesome to see all the team ups and everything. So
that was a fun.
Absolutely. Justin, what would you rate this one?
So, I would have to go with a high holy on this one. Issue 1 was my salvation
Okay.
book because the setup was just beautiful, and it was to me it just hit right home.
Yeah.
The last issue was definitely a high holy for me. I think overall as a story arc so far, I have to go with holy.
Okay.
Middle of the ground, just because I'm so worried about what the end is going to be like.
Yeah.
DC is known for the final issue all of a sudden
the setup,
and
just piddling out.
Yeah,
sort of.
but I'm hoping that it's going to be this way all the way through, and if it does, I would give the story arc a salvation.
Okay.
If it ends
If it
what I hope it
continues-
does,
if it
I
continues at this pace,
I agree,
and,
but it's too early to tell right now.
Yeah, we're only about halfway through,
and I've got high hopes for JLA, which directly is going to
Yes.
come out of this. So
yes,
I do kind of wonder about the fact that Amanda Waller's they're in search of this weapon and it's in Bel Rev. To me, if I were the Justice League, the first thing I would ask is what's the weapon? So that to me, that seems like that would be the first words that came out of someone's mouth.
I'm
I'm
going
pretty
to
sure
speculate on it.
I'm pretty sure we'll find out next issue.
I think it's not an it. I think it's a
who.
A who.
Well, it is a who. Their shaman refers to it as him.
Right.
So it is a who. Do you have any ideas on who you think it might be? Noah?
Oh, I know who the I don't know. I'm kind of wondering if it might not be Diablo, but
Diablo.
that would be of the Suicide Squad.
El Diablo?
Yeah.
Well, isn't he's in the Suicide Squad right now, though, right?
Right.
Yeah,
Then he's also in Bel Rev right now.
Yeah.
Oh.
I'm wondering if it's not like a member of the
Oh,
Suicide
that
Squad that they're
would-
after now, like a current
That would
Suicide
be
Squad
an interesting
member.
twist. Actually, these shamans, I mean, they're all bald and they have tattoos on their faces. I mean,
I just got a vibe, but it could,
Yeah.
I don't know. It could be
Yeah.
somebody we haven't met yet that they're
Yeah.
going to, introduce us to. But
Noah's
racking my
vibing.
brain.
He's
Yeah.
got a vibe. Yeah.
I've been racking my brain trying to figure out what or who it could be because, I mean, there's so many things or people it could be, and I can't even speculate.
Yeah.
yeah,
I generally think that Noah's onto something. I don't know. I don't think it's a coincidence that these shamans look like El Diablo.
Yeah.
And I don't know, personally.
Having read Justice League, I don't think it's El Diablo.
Okay.
Because
I read it, but I can't
Justice League actually takes place prior to all of the events of this crossover so far.
Okay.
Oh, right.
All right.
And having read that, I definitely don't think it is El Diablo. It'd be really interesting if it was, but I think it might be somebody we haven't seen. Since prior to Flashpoint. And my hope is that it's somebody we haven't seen since prior to Flashpoint, since they're trying to slowly reintroduce people.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. That makes sense. Yeah, I don't know. It could be just someone completely new. I hope it wouldn't be, though, because there's so much nostalgia in DC Rebirth right now that I feel like introducing new characters is really not completely necessary,
Yeah, it's kind of the point of Rebirth is they're rebirthing all the characters you used to love, I guess. But
Well, and that was the thing that bothered me so much about the Justice League's first story arc was like they had the those singing giants in it or whatever, and it was like they were completely new, and it's like, this is DC Rebirth. You're coming up with new villains that really aren't that good, you know? I don't know, yeah.
You think Black Adam? He was a member of the Suicide Squad for a while. He's got some otherworldly powers we haven't seen.
And he's got
him
ties.
yet.
He's got ties to Johnny Sorrow.
Oh,
Does he really?
Yeah, he was. Yeah, he was around in the He was a member of the Justice Society back when they were fighting Johnny Sorrow the first time.
Huh.
First or second time. I can't remember exactly which one.
Yeah, and Shazam hasn't showed up
Yeah, he
yet
hasn't been.
either.
Yeah, but this item okay, so in Justice League you find out that the whatever it is that Maxwell Lord's searching for is the item is the quote unquote item he needs to take over the world.
Right.
So
right.
I don't think it would be Shazam because Billy's too innocent.
Yeah.
Black Adam I could see because bringing order to chaos is kind of his thing when he overthrew Kondak and all that.
But how would he take over the world with Black Adam? I mean, does Black Adam really have enough power to do?
He's pretty powerful.
He is pretty powerful. He's got magic, the one thing that can stop the most powerful being on Earth.
Okay.
And the thing is, they've got to introduce Captain Marvel or Shazam or whatever they're calling him now, and Black Adam because he's going to be in the cinematic universe pretty soon, and I mean that's just a given,
Right.
They've got to have him as a character in the comics too, and they were popular in the Injustice game and things. So it's time for them to pop up. I don't know. Well, I guess, yeah.
I want to see Shazam pop up really bad. I love Shazam.
I do too. I
the
like him.
concept
Yeah.
for that. Just a little kid,
Yep.
He's always comedic relief
Yeah.
and stuff. It's really cool. So awesome. Well, it was a good week for comics. So I feel like with this book and several others that came out, other than Wonder Woman, I'm hoping for something. Angel Down I wasn't huge on that. Do you want to talk about that for a second?
Yeah, we can talk about that for a second. I also wasn't huge on it. It was the first time that I was let down with the Wonder Woman comic, but I'm the way I'm trying to deal with it is that it was from Steve Trevor's point of view.
Yeah,
and so I'm like, okay, maybe it's I'm picturing it as a one-off, and it's somebody else's point of view, so it's a different stylistic thing. But I do know that Liam Sharp is leaving soon.
Oh, is he?
Because the artist that did the issue 8, I think it was the Barbara Minerva thing, is going to be his replacement.
Taking over. Okay.
And I didn't check. I was going to check now that I talked. I was going to check to see if it was him that did that. Which let's hope not.
I wasn't a fan of the characterizations in that. I thought they looked kind of funky, and I don't know.
There was one particular scene of Wonder Woman kneeling kind of in the background, but she wasn't so far in the background that she had no face. It was just an oval, you know what I mean? And and I was like, you could, don't skimp on the details or anything. This is only one of the big 3.
Yeah. That took place in the origin portion of the story, right? That didn't.
No. And that's
current times?
Yeah, because she's lost her mind. So
did that take place right after the
they're still on
the shattering?
Yeah.
That did?
Yeah, and they're still as far as I could tell, they're still on that island or whatever.
Oh wow!
And that's when the reinvented Captain Maru, I guess they called her now, Dr. Poison, Captain Poison, or whatever.
Okay.
She had a little tattoo on her, or it appeared the character had some type of a tattoo on her eye.
Yeah.
And the original character would wear a smock with the same symbol over the eye, so it really tied it into the old school
to that old character
part. But
awesome.
I liked seeing that pop up because Dr. Poison was Wonder Woman's first costumed villain. She fought, but that was about the only highlight of the issue. Unfortunately, I was like, no.
Yeah, it was rough for me. So, Justin, did you have anything that stuck out to you this week other than this book?
I really liked Batman.
I read that too.
Oh my God, that book
was actually good. Really good.
It proves once again that you don't have to have nonstop action in a Batman book.
Well,
you can just let it be the relationship between those two, and the art was amazing, and that book was so good.
It was very, very good.
And I'm loving Tom King's run. Like, I know
Yeah.
you weren't a big fan of some of the Night of the Monster Men stuff.
I was not.
But like, I like that story arc, even though he wasn't directly involved in that. But like the other,
Yeah, that was Orlando, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
But like, I Am Suicide. I loved.
I love
the
that, yeah.
upcoming. I'm looking forward to I Am Bane. The
Yeah,
the rebirth of
yeah,
Bane.
yeah.
I just overall such a good book.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've really enjoyed
And that
it.
one hasn't let me down yet. I haven't read most of the Wonder Woman run yet, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
That Batman kind of reminded me of the New 52 Catwoman #1. Do you guys remember that?
I never read that one.
Gilliam March. I'm not sure how to pronounce it, but he's draws sexy ladies well.
Okay.
And so people were all up in arms over how sexy Catwoman was, but the first issue was basically like this issue, but more from Catwoman's point of view, and her and Batman go at it
Yeah.
in a very sexy fashion, and
Right.
full page spreads, and taking
wow.
each other's clothes off and stuff. And I mean, it was sexy, but it was great. I liked it, but a lot of the social justice warriors were all up in arms over
Oh,
it. It caused a
really?
big controversy, but it brought some popularity to the book for a while. But I like books that can handle the relationship between Bruce Wayne and Selena Kyle right.
right.
Yeah, I
Oh,
agree.
man.
Yeah, it's
And that one,
really cool.
This
Yeah,
one,
this one sure did. Yep.
did it justice. I'm
Yeah.
looking forward to the second part of it.
Yeah, I am too. Yeah, it's a two-parter. So, all right, cool. Well, we are just about out of time here, so I'm going to sign us off. If you want to reach out to me, you can do so at nerdchurchradio@gmail.com or by checking out our website at nerdchurchradio.com. Noah, if people want to reach you, where can they find you at?
You can find me on Facebook, Facebook /Noah O'Toole.
Beautiful. And Justin?
You can find me on Twitter. My handle is @deadlander18.
Beautiful. And I forgot to mention, our Twitter handle is Nerd Church Radio. Everywhere, Nerd Church Radio. Just type it into your search engine of choice. We'll likely be there, hopefully. All right. So, do you guys have anything else for the listeners tonight?
No, but I will say, if you like Suicide Squad and have liked all this, maybe check out some old issues of Gail Simone's Secret Six.
Oh, cool.
Shares
Yeah.
Deadshot, a lot of the same characters Harley joined for a while, and it's
nice.
It's a fun alternate perspective of the Suicide Squad.
Yeah.
So check that out if you like Suicide Squad, and
Awesome.
keep reading.
Awesome. I'll actually be checking that out then, too. Sweet.
That's a good read.
Yeah,
Definitely.
I got a
good
couple
read.
issues, so I'll have to dig them out of the long box. I'll loan them to you,
Absolutely.
so.
Yeah, very cool. All right, cool, guys. Well, I'm going to sign us off. Have a great week, everyone.